This is Andi Purewal, Boxing Social, in association with Bet4Ed. Delighted to be joined by promoter Eddie Hearn in the immediate aftermath of Devin Haney's UD victory against JoJo Diaz. UD, unanimous decision. So
don't do that again, mate.
All right, we won't do that again. But Eddie, what did you?
In America, it was a great. I mean, it was amazing. UD, brilliant performance, great fight, and you know, two back-to-back great fights for Devin Haney. Let's just break it down. In the last 12 months, he's beaten Gamboa, Linares and JoJo Diaz. He has the best current resume of any lightweight. George Kambosos with a standout win. He's 23 years of age. He's just starting out in this game, and it was a brilliant performance. So mature beyond his years, you know, controlled the fight in the first few rounds. Then JoJo Diaz started doing what we expected him to do, you know, make it a little bit ugly, force the pressure. And it was Devin's maturity, which is a weird thing to say at 23, of controlling all those middle rounds of the fight, and had him winning 8-4, you know, something like that. And respect to JoJo Diaz, but he's just too good, and he's just starting.
What questions do you feel that Devin answered tonight?
Took some big shots, wasn't wobbled once, took a lot of pressure, took a lot to the body, controlling the pace of the fight, being composed in a fight, having discipline in a fight, so many things that it's easy in a fight like that to unravel, but he never looks like unravelling. And again, that goes back to how remarkable that is at such a young age.
There were probably moments in there where even you yourself thought, doesn't need to get involved as much as what he was. Was you surprised that he showed that type of mentality to want to get stuck in at times? Well,
he did against Linares as well, and he got buzzed in that fight because he was just willing to stand in a pocket. And he understands that you have to entertain. So I think at times he could make things easier, but he also doesn't want to give you an excuse to say, oh, he's boring, because he really ain't boring. I mean, two brilliant fights now. That was another tremendous fight tonight after last week. And the kid's an American superstar. Like, he's getting better and better. And, you know, we have to move forward now and hopefully find out who the true undisputed champion is.
Talks begin for the George Kambosos fight. How soon after tonight do you feel that things can progress there?
I don't know. I mean, you know, we have to go out now and, you know, there's two sides to this, of course. There's George Kambosos, Lou DiBella, Peter Khan and their side, and there's our side. So, you know, they can make us an offer, we can make them an offer. Probably wiser to work collectively and say, let's go out into the marketplace and find out how we can make these two the most money for one of the biggest fights in boxing. It's not just Australia, it's America, could be the Middle East. I mean, it's an undisputed fight. But part of me would like to do it in Australia. You know, I mean, it's a big market for us approaching, and it would be a great sporting occasion for that country. And George Kambosos, after his win, has the right to be the A side in that fight. So if we have to travel, we will. Devin will. I don't feel others will. But we need to just resolve this situation of undisputed, and it shouldn't be too difficult. I really feel that George and Jim and, you know, that the team, they want the fight, you know, and fair play to them, and so they should, by the way. So, you know, I wouldn't say negotiations start on Monday, but certainly we need to move forward now and see how we can make these two great fighters as much money as possible.
Have you got any date in mind? Let's say if a deal could be agreed and that fight could be put on, have you got an idea as to when you would like to see it happen?
I think end of April, May. I mean, something like that. You know, George had a real tough fight last week. Devin had a not as tough fight, but still a tough fight. Give him a bit of time to break. George has had a rough run, you know, building up for this fight. Let him have Christmas, January, and then we'll start planning for the fight. But we should start work now, and you know, we'll talk to Lou and those guys and see, you know, what the options are in terms of where that fight can be held.
Final thing on that before we do move through the card. George did say it's not just a matter of Devin because he's got the title, it's whoever impresses him the most in this coming week. Obviously Tank tomorrow night and then even Loma next weekend. In your opinion, what type of performance or statement would Tank have to make against Cruz or Loma against Commey to put him in a better position than what Devin will be?
I think that George, you know, the whole undisputed argument, it's too important not to resolve. I'm sure Tank will look great tomorrow, and you know, Cruz will bring it what he can, and Lomachenko's Lomachenko. I don't think, with all due respect to Lomachenko, he's in the discussion for that fight. But yeah, of course, Tank is, and Ryan Garcia, and you know, we've got to just make sure that we do the best we can for the fighters. I'd like to think Kambosos' team trust us after what we did for that fight and making sure that got over the line. We're proven. We have a proven track record at staging major international events. and paying the fighters very well. And that's what I want to do for both these guys, to find out who is undisputed and create a historic event. And they deserve it.
Working through the card, Eddie, Montana Love, his matchroom debut, impressed?
Really, really good. I mean, look, for the first round, Diaz brought great pressure. You know, let's just say it out, is Montana Love missed weight, you know, sloppy, and he won't be happening again. But brilliant performance. I mean, sharp shooter, you know, great counter punching, walked him onto shots. I thought the stoppage was a bit early, but they should have probably stopped it after the third knockdown, the round before. But it was a little bit of a strange stoppage, but probably, you know, it was going one way, obviously. But this kid's a star, Montana Love, and I'm really excited about his future.
Who in particular would you like him to face next?
I think the Regis Prograis fight is a banging fight. I mean,
do you think they'd fight each other because they have got a good relationship?
Yeah, money talks. I mean, I still think Montana needs another fight. You know, I want to keep him active, get him out early in 2022. Must have 3 fights next year. And, of course, every 140 chases Josh Taylor because he's got all the belts. But those belts at some stage are going to become vacant. And we need to be well positioned to capitalise on that and make Montana Love a world champion. I think this guy's going to be headlining shows in 2 fights, something like that, once we just keep raising his profile and boxing him, and maybe even boxing in the UK as well. I think people would love him in the UK. But a really good performance. Jessica McCaskill, I'll help you go through the card. I went into the change room and we were running a little bit slow on time tonight. As you would have seen, there was a few gaps. And I said to Jessica, just take your time out there tonight. She came out like a train. I mean, fair play to Candy Wyatt. She could have stayed in there for 10 rounds. But good performance, probably a lot of frustration there as well, to finally, you know, get out into the ring again. And I expect a really big 2022 for her. Filip Hrgović, good performance. Amir was game for a couple of rounds, but he was overmatched. And Filip did what he's got to do. I think he's a little bit bored now of those kind of fights. And now he needs the big fights, whether that's Zhang in a final eliminator. Personally, I'd like him to fight the winner of Luis Ortiz against Charles Martin in an IBF final eliminator. But big fights ahead for Filip Hrgović, and you know, we've got plans for him to become mandatory, and I believe he's going to be a world heavyweight champion. Mark Castro, great show, real knockout. Amo Williams, after a tough first round, great knockout. Maybe the stoppage a little bit early, but he was gone. But if he would have got up, you know, I don't like a stoppage when the ref jumps on the fighter on the floor. Just have a look at him, give him a count. You know what I mean? Or let him get up and look him in the eye, move him to the left, whatever you need to do. But sometimes people are just too keen to do that. Alexis Espino with the draw. I thought he edged the fight, to be honest with you, but good learning fight. We'll do that fight again. Amari Jones, really good performance by him in a tough step up. And a really good fight with Sandoval as well. It was actually a really good card, full of action and another thrilling main event.
Done very well to remember all that, Eddie. Just a few other topics. It is indeed. I'm sure you saw the article earlier on TVMO Lopez. Just want to get your thoughts on reading about that, the air which was caught between his lungs or in his chest. And the fact, did you have any knowledge of that prior to the fight?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's obviously, he has all the full medicals done with the New York State Athletic Commission. The statement was from his doctor, his own personal doctor. So I don't know. But, you know, he passed all the medicals with the New York State Athletic Commission, the commission for the fight. Was fit, was ready, was sparring, you know, non-stop through camp. Didn't have any problems at all. So whether it was a weight-making issue, possibly, because he did struggle at the weight. But, you know, I haven't read the report. It's, like I said, it's his personal doctor. And I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Lyndon Arthur was stopped tonight by Anthony Yarde. I don't know whether you saw it or not, but I just
saw the end. Yeah, it was strange. It was quite a strange. I mean, I haven't seen the whole fight. What looks like a great performance from Anthony Yarde, but I saw the knockdown and he got up. I thought before the count, but they counted him out and then he sort of walked off. I thought he was going to complain or something. I don't know. It was a strange one, but I didn't see the earlier part of the fight. Maybe he took a beating and he was done.
It was a very good performance from Yarde.
Yeah. Well, he's a good fighter. You know, and I felt like he was favourite in the first fight, but he didn't let his hands go. You know, I think they got railroaded into that rematch a little bit, but that's their business. And, you know, it was a good win for Yarde, and he's put himself right back in contention now for the big fights.
I was going to ask, has that opened the door again to a potential Joshua Buatsi fight?
I love the fight. Huge fight. You know, and just because he's been beat twice now in his career, yeah, doesn't mean he's not a major player. And Buatsi's unbeaten. We'll be back in March, and would love to make the yard fight, and it's a big fight.
As always, Eddie, I have to bring in some bit of a heavyweight talk. Frank Warren has said that there is some form of willingness on all sides to try and make the FURY-USYK fight, meaning obviously AJ stepping aside. Is that the case? Is there a willingness, or would you disagree with that?
There's a willingness to have a discussion from my side without going through the details of Anthony, which hasn't happened yet. And, you know, I keep saying, if something came along that was in the best interest of Anthony Joshua, and it's not all a financial element, it's actually a plan, then I would take it to him to have that discussion. So that's all there is to report at the moment.
Bob Arum has said that Saudi Arabia are apparently interested in hosting a FURY-USYK fight. I know you've got good connections with Saudi. Have you heard any whispers of that?
Yeah, that's true. They've always been interested in holding the undisputed fight, probably interested in doing AJ against Usyk or maybe Fury against White, but their main focus has always been to stage the undisputed heavyweight world championship, so we shall see.
Matchroom's American adventure this year has come to an end, 2021. How would you assess it now you've got a bit of time to look back?
Amazing. I mean, firstly, we broke the world record, the American record for the biggest attendance with Canelo Alvarez against Billy Joe Saunders. Some brilliant fights of the year, Chocolatito against Estrada 2, one of the best fights I've seen live. And then we had a 3-month period where we were very quiet while we were waiting to see what happened with Canelo Alvarez. Don't forget, we also held a fight with Canelo Alvarez against Yildirim at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. You know, some big fights through the pandemic as well in places that we couldn't have crowds. And we've finished it really strong. Of course, the big upset, Sandor Martin against Mikey Garcia in Fresno, big card and good Demetrius Andrade victory. Fight of the year last week at the Madison Square Garden with Teofimo. One of the fights of the year tonight with Haney against Diaz at MGM Grand. And the plans in America. And right now, we're in the best position, say DAZN are in the best position they've ever been in the American market. They have complete trust and respect and loyalty from American fight fans. And so they should. Because the schedule they're delivering, the value for money they're delivering is second to none. And I'm so, personally invested in this project because I'm such a big believer in it. And I know this is a British platform, but I want to thank the American fans because it feels like it felt in Britain for me 10 years ago, which was a huge amount of support. Walking around here, speaking to fight fans and actually getting pats on the back. And it's really refreshing. I'll come back to a few boos next week, but it's good to be home next week for 2 massive cards and 2 massive weeks for DAZN. And like the whole project has completely reignited my passion for the sport, not just in Britain, but of course America, but globally as well. And I'm so excited about next year, like the plans that we're putting together on a global, even Laraja against Flatney, respect to those guys. The atmosphere was amazing in Bilbao. Look at what's happening with Spanish boxing. You know, Kiko Martinez, Sandor Martin, Laraja. You know, there's so much potential for so many different markets. Australia will be next. We're going to do massive things in Australia. I'm really happy about our position in the marketplace in the US. But everything is about consistency. Consistency and hard work. If you're consistent in anything you do, you'll get results and you'll stand the test of time. That's what we've been over the last 10 years in the UK is consistent. And that's what we have now in the US is consistency. And we're just different. There's no one like us. And we will take fighters all over the world and give you the best opportunities globally to be a star. If you haven't got the ability or you haven't got the vision to be a global star, there's plenty of other options for you. But there's nothing like us. Nothing. And on that note, all I can say is, cheese!
Right, Eddie Hearn, this will probably be the last time I speak to you as I've got a couple more weeks left out here.
Oh,
so,
really? So you're not coming to Liverpool next week?
No, I think Ryan will be there.
Ryan, was Mr. Tebbett retired?
No, Tebbett, he's actually able to start going back to show, so he may be there. I haven't actually spoken to him.
Good, be good to see him.
But I just wanted to say I appreciate your time this year. It's been very much appreciated. Good luck with the next couple of weeks. Enjoy the Christmas festivities and the New Year, and I look forward to seeing you in 2022. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Good job, mate, and thank you to Boxing Social.
Perfect. Thank you, Eddie.
Cheers, mate.
Top man. Cheers.